So the next definition is commercial security hollow metal, and it's a very broad, somewhat not generic description, but a security hollow metal door is no longer the realm of typical hollow metal, and you're getting into material that's most likely ballistic rated. And we've gone over previously doors that are rated for ballistic resistance, and I think a lot of that's going to be very appropriate here. Commercial security hollow metal could certainly mean lots of things, and we will switch to the screen view and we'll take a closer look at not only the definition but the supporting documentation that the SDI glossary refers to. Let's do that now. Here's the definition: commercial security hollow metal, steel door and frame products designed and tested and manufactured to resist intrusion or forced entry in commercial applications. See ANSI NAM HAMA 862 guide specification. So let's pull that up. That'll be very interesting to take a look at. See if this website has it. Yeah, it does. Okay, great. So it's a 2013 version, and I don't, I'm not concerned about it being 10 plus years old at this point. In fact, it may be the most current version of the standard that's published. National Association of Architectural Metal Manufacturers guide specification. Yeah, there is a new version, a newer version anyway. There's a -21. Okay, downloads are $0 each. Here we go. Okay, so a -21 version. Awesome. So going through the guide specification, this is going to give us a really good way to understand in a very generic, summarized sense what is being referred to in this standard. So let's take a look at some of the key highlights that would be in this. If you are enjoying this video, please click thumbs up or like, and also please consider subscribing to our channel. Let's move on to the rest of the video. So I've taken a moment to highlight some of the important things to touch on in this 862 Hollow Metal Manufacturers Association standard. Now, I'm not an expert at all on forced entry or bullet resistant. Forced entry, bullet resistant, FEBR, or security hollow metal doors and frames. But I know enough about it to realize, or to understand, that the standard calls out, for me, what I think is two separate sort of items, although they can be the same requirement. Forced entry, and then bullet resistant. FE and BR. And forced entry is literally trying to break the door down with tools, with some sort of attacking tools, a sledgehammer, etc. BR, or bullet resistant, well, that's pretty straightforward what's being mentioned there. So let's take a look. Let's scroll through this and see what's highlighted. Okay, so forced entry, bullet resistant security hollow metal systems for many years. And by the way, when you take a class on this stuff and pay lots and lots and lots of money, they usually trot these documents out. And they do exactly what I'm doing now. So I'm most certainly a fan of education. It's always a good thing. But a lot of what you're going to get in these classes are, for me, divided up into two things. It's the academic work, reading this stuff or having it read to you, which you can do at home. The other half is the networking with not only the other students, but it's also the instructors. So to me, the most that I've learned has been through the source material reinforced by what the instructor is saying. So the class is not just reading this, which a lot of it is, but it's the reinforcing that the instructor does. So if you take a class where they're going to talk about this type of material, you want to understand a lot of it's just what I'm doing right now. For many years, hollow metal doors and framing systems has been used as the primary and initial defense against forced entry. Architects, specifiers, and end users have come to understand the advantages of using hollow metal doors and frames in FE and BR, forced entry and bullet resistant security applications such as airports, convention centers, hotels, offices, foreign and domestic government buildings, such as embassies, offices, and barracks. The original standard, the 862-03, was developed to provide guidance in the specification of FEBR security hollow metal doors and frames, where protection against vandalism, forced entry, theft, and firearms attack is a paramount concern. It is necessary when writing an FEBR security specification to keep in mind the security aspects of the entire opening, door frame, hardware glazing, and wall construction, meaning you have to think of it as an assembly. The test performance criteria set forth in this document simulates the total opening and its ability to frustrate forced entry and ballistic penetration. Evaluating FEBR security hollow metal systems. In order to evaluate the performance of FEBR security hollow metal, it has been necessary to develop testing methods which simulate in the laboratory the systems, meaning the door openings, ability to frustrate attacks initiated by unskilled, semi-skilled, and skilled assailants, and or the system's ability to resist ballistic penetrations. One objective of this development work is to provide a standardized means of measuring performance which architects can call in their specifications. Call for. Another objective is to provide manufacturers standardized means of testing and inspecting their products, improving their designs, and maintaining high-quality construction. Finally, maintenance of rigorous standards and methods of testing, construction, and performance gives assurance of protection to the end user and the public in general. The performance requirement and methods of testing set forth in this voluntary standard will go a long way towards realizing the stated objectives. Testing. The standard for FEBR security hollow metal has been developed to allow architects to specify doors and frames based on the level of security required for the specific opening. The standard considers two conditions: forced entry and ballistic resistance, or commonly known FEBR. There are tests described in this specification which are to be conducted in accordance with these standards that are listed here. The following are brief descriptions of bullet resistance and forced entry tests commonly specified for FEBR products and systems. The bullet resistance test is conducted in accordance with UL 752 and SDD-1.01 revision G. These standards cover bullets fired from super power rated handguns to high powered rifles. Bullets resisting signifies protection against complete penetration, passage of fragments and projectiles, or spalling, fragmentation of the protective material to the degree that injury would be caused to a person standing directly behind the bullet-resisting barrier. The forced entry attack tests demonstrate a real-world battery of tests where a team of persons actually attacks the face of the assembly and the hinge and locking elements using a host of tools and equipment provided for testing in accordance with the rating classification required. And that's actually what's most interesting, at least to me. We'll go over that before we finish through here. The construction of FEBR security hollow metal varies much depending upon the rating classification required. Also, many manufacturers have tested to these standards guard the construction of their products with patents or proprietary information. The ensuing specification denotes recommended material thickness, how the doors and frames are to be welded, how and where the hardware reinforcements are to be used, and how the product are to be finished and packaged for shipment. That's pretty important. The standard is saying, here's how thick the material has to be. Here's how it has to be manufactured and assembled, or welded, as they say. How and where the hardware reinforcements are to be used, and how the product is to be finished and packaged for shipment. So the standard, this standard is laying all that out. Such prospective requirements are not intended to restrict innovative design. This is essentially a performance-based specification, and alternative constructions are to be permitted so long as the manufacturer demonstrates successful completion of the prescribed test requirements and associated certifications. Let's scroll through here and see what else I've highlighted. If you've not hit subscribe yet, we would very much appreciate if you did, and hopefully you're enjoying this video. Now, let's get back to it. Okay, testing and performance. So it's going to be called out, this information, to a more clear level of understanding. These test methods are intended to evaluate simulated forced entry resistance of a door and frame assembly to attacks using battering devices, common hand tools, powered hand tools, static loading, and bullets. These test methods are not to provide a measure of resistance for door and frame assemblies subjected to attack by corrosive agents. The primary purpose of these test methods is to approximate the levels of abuse to which a door and frame assembly can be subjected in the course of a forced entry attack. The desired result of its use is to help ensure the protection of both public and private property and the safety of the inhabitants or occupants of the building where these door and frame assemblies will ultimately be used. Forced entry fixturing. This section here talks about literally how to set up the door and frame for testing. Bullet penetration. There's going to be a table here. Yeah, here it is. So they're literally talking about bullet resistance now in terms of the different levels. So the FE is the forced entry. The BR is the bullet resistance. So here's bullet resistance goes on levels. So if you're doing a door that's level 4, this is the criteria of what they're guarding against. All right, forced entry attack test. This test is designed to evaluate the resistance of physical attack of FEBR security door and frame assemblies prepared for hardware and other options. The test is intended to simulate actual field conditions whereby an assailant or group of assailants has full access to certain handheld tools and attacks the door face, hinge elements, locking elements, glazing, and other features. As we move through much of this, it talked earlier about defining thicknesses for material. That's right here. FEBR security hollow metal doors under construction. They're literally showing you 0.093 inch to, I don't know what thickness that is. That's at least 14 gauge. I'd have to look. Wait, 0.093? Yeah, I mean 16 gauge is 60 thousandths roughly. So 50% thicker than that, whatever that is. It's probably at least 14 gauge, if not thicker, all the way up to basically 1/8 of an inch. Face sheets of interior doors. Yeah, so that's where they had called out earlier about it being defined. And again, minimum thickness for hardware reinforcements. They talk about glazing, molding, and stops here. More language defining what the assembly needs to be like. How it's to be manufactured and what tolerances, where the hardware is located. So if you're a manufacturer of FEBR doors, this is your guidebook. This is the governing document talking about manufacturing tolerances, clearances, guidelines for use. Now I would probably read through the guidelines for use, and I'm going to skip forward because they literally show you. This is what's fun about this. Forced entry test resources. Specified protection level. So what is your FE level required? 5 minutes, 15 minutes, or 60 minutes? Resource. Active personnel. Can the door withstand active personnel for 5 minutes? Two active personnel for 5 minutes. Can it withstand for 5 minutes a sledgehammer that's 10 pounds and 30 inches long? By 2 people. My goodness. A carpenter hammer, a ram, a crowbar, a keyhole saw, screwdrivers, channel locks, punch, push broom, impact area 4x4, sharp edge tools shall not be resharpened during the test, used only during the test to failure phase. The wood splitting maul shall not be used. So really fascinating that the standard tells us this is what it has to survive. X people for Y minutes with Z tool. So really, really interesting. I don't know that I have anything else highlighted. Yeah, there's just more information regarding those tools and the tool categories under attack tools. Really, really fascinating. Okay, all right, next is communicating frame. Those are fun. We see those in hotels all the time. Where else have I seen them? I've seen them in parking garages as well, but hotels is where we're all going to bump into those. So let's go on and talk about communicating frame. Thank you for watching, and if you've enjoyed this video, please click thumbs up, please subscribe, and maybe even send the video to someone that you know. Thank you.